Hello and welcome. I am JP Miller of the Empire Report. We are thrilled to hold this important Congressional Candidate Forum in what is considered one of the most contested House races in the entire nation. I want to thank AARP New York for sponsoring this forum. Thank you to my good friend Rex Smith of the Upstate American for moderating, and thank you especially to the candidates for participating. To our viewers, this is your chance to hear directly from the major party candidates running for New York's newly drawn 22nd Congressional District, Francis Knoll and Brandon Williams. We're going to focus today on issues important to New York voters 50 and older, who we know voters that are 50 and older are the key voting bloc. For more on that, we turn to a woman who knows a thing or two about the 50-plus voter bloc, AARP New York State Director Beth Finkel. Beth, take it away.
Thank you, JP, and thank you, Rex, and thank you to the candidates for joining us today, because you're helping the voters who are going to be turning in to view the most important thing that they can do in an election. That's pay attention and get out there and vote. It's no secret that registered voters 50 plus cast their ballots at a much higher rate than the rest of the electorate. And that, in fact, has been true for all 4 recent elections. And that's particularly true this time around. In fact, we're going to be releasing new data today that's going to show the turnout numbers of the 50 plus in central New York and in the Mohawk Valley in the August primaries and the general election. That's why we're so grateful to the Empire Report for hosting this forum, focusing on the issues that are most important to the 50 plus. And we are so eager to hear what the candidates have to say about these issues and where they stand. Because make no bones about it, the 50 plus will be the deciders in this election.
Okay, well, thank you, Beth, and thanks to AARP New York for sponsoring this candidate forum and for carrying us forward. And what you're saying, of course, squares with what I was just reading in the AARP bulletin, where the CEO of AARP wrote, our voices will decide. So we're very grateful to be here today and grateful to Empire Report for hosting New York's 22nd Congressional District conversation. You know, this district is a nationally recognized battleground, as JP said, where control of Congress may well be decided. And this race has generated a lot of attention in the media. But before I introduce the candidates, I just want to briefly review the ground rules for this forum. It is not a debate, it is a candidate forum. And here are the rules. The answers are limited to 2 minutes each. There is a stopwatch. And if the candidate goes over the time, their mic will be cut off. There will be no candidate interaction. That is, candidates won't be asking each other questions, and they will not appear on screen at the same time. So with that, we're excited to be joined by the Democratic and the Republican candidates for New York's 22nd Congressional District. That is Democrat Francis Knoll and Republican Brandon Williams. We begin with 2-minute opening statements. We will conclude with 1-minute closing statements. We begin first with Mr. Knoll. You're up with your opening remarks, please. You have 2 minutes.
All right. Well, listen, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us during this important time for our community and our country. Thank you to Empire Report for hosting, and for AARP for hosting and sponsoring, and for your work and your advocacy for our seniors and their quality of life. You know, my name is Francis Knoll. I was born and raised here in central New York. My family's lived here for generations, and I've spent my life serving our country and fighting for American interests and American values, both at home and abroad. And I was called to serve at a time really when I believed our country was at risk. I took my first oath after I graduated the Naval Academy 3 months before 9/11. And I made the decision to run in this moment because I think our country and our community confront a multitude of crises: a divided nation, rising costs, risks to public safety and protection of our personal freedoms. And, you know, throughout my career, I've been described as a leader who is steady and even keeled. I've led on the ground in Iraq, in our intelligence community, advising 2 secretaries of defense at the Pentagon, never asking if someone's a Democrat or Republican. And I think this leadership is what we need to navigate these difficult waters. Central New Yorkers are exhausted by the chaos, the division, and the extremes. This moment is not going to be met by the extremes of one party, but through bipartisan work. And I've been called a voice of moderation within my own party and an independent voice. And I continue to believe that if we are going to be that beacon on the hill and continue to be that indispensable nation and confront the challenges of our time, we're going to have to do it together. So thank you so much for joining today, and thank you to my colleague Brandon Williams as well.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Knoll. And now we turn to Mr. Williams. You have 2 minutes for your opening statement, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brandon Williams. I'm the Republican candidate for Congress here in New York's 22nd District. I'm a political outsider. I'm a nuclear submarine veteran, a business owner, a husband of 30 years, and the father of 2 adult children. It's clear to me that Governor Hochul and President Biden and the progressive left are leading our country on a dangerous course. Record high grocery prices, soaring crime, and lawlessness at our border. I'll not stand by while hardworking families fall further behind, as well as our retirees, through no fault of their own. And I will not allow this great country to stop being a beacon of hope for the rest of the world. America needs leaders who understand how to create jobs, deter our enemies, fight for common sense economic policies, and fight against the special interest lobbyists of DC. I served as the strategic missile officer on a nuclear submarine. I have thousands of hours supervising the operation of a nuclear power plant. I attended one of the best business schools in the world, and that helped me start companies, including most recently a software company that is helping to modernize manufacturing. Competence and experience matter now more than ever. Here in New York, we've been reeling from high taxes, cashless bail policies, and wasteful spending by the government. And now, under the leadership of Joe Biden, America is leading the world into a global recession that will impoverish the middle class like never before. I'm glad to be here and answer your questions, and I'm glad to stand up for a second tour to serve our country.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Williams. And now you will be the first person to answer the first question, which I think will probably surprise no one that the initial question for this forum begins with Social Security. You know, Social Security is a promise that must be kept. I think we would all agree. So the question would be, if elected, how would you work to protect earned Social Security benefits for the future? You have 2 minutes to answer the question.
Sure. Well, I'm 55, so it's very much on my mind and on the horizon. We've made a promise to the American people, to the retirees, that we will be there for them and that we will provide this benefit. And nothing that I'm going to do is going to change that. And so the best thing that we can do to ensure the health and security of Social Security in the future is to have a strong economy. As I mentioned, I've never been in politics before. I'm standing up as a business person with a MBA from the Wharton School to really make sure that our economy is on track and is strong, and so that we can keep that promise, to the seniors that are drawing Social Security now, or that it's right on the horizon for them, like myself. And whatever the future holds for Social Security, it has to be bipartisan. No one party, no one point of view can solve this. We're not going to let these big entitlements programs get pushed through by a single party like has been done in the recent past.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Now, Mr. Knoll, same question to you. If elected, how would you work to protect earned Social Security benefits for the future?
Yeah, no, listen, this is absolutely essential for our entire country. We have an older district here in Central New York. I got about 20 aunts and uncles who are on Social Security. My parents are on Social Security. It is vital to their livelihood. And the reality is if we continue on the current track, Social Security is headed really off a cliff in about 12 years. So we are going to have to take action on this. Maintaining a strong economy is, of course, vital to this. And also, making sure that these corporations are not parking their profits offshore and overseas, and that we're bringing these jobs back home. But it's really kind of a binary issue. We either need to shore up the program. The Republicans keep talking in Washington about wanting to cut Social Security. Steve Scalise talked about it just this past week about trimming it back, and it's been talked about for decades. Or shoring up revenue. And what I think we need to do substantively is really remove that income cap on income over 400,000 to shore up and really protect Social Security. Because you're right, Rex, it is a promise. It is vital to our seniors, and we absolutely have to protect it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Knoll. So you would be up first with the next question, Mr. Knoll, and that's on Medicare.
I'm sorry, Rex, you're breaking up.
Oh, okay. I can't do much about that. We'll hope that you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear you.
The question has to do with Medicare, which provides critical health coverage for older Americans. And so the question would be, again, if you're elected, what do you think you could do to strengthen Medicare for the future?
Yep, you broke up a little bit there, Rex, but I know we're talking about Medicare, so I'm going to proceed forward here. Medicare is also, it's vital to Central New Yorkers, to seniors throughout our country. And first of all, we need to make sure that we protect it from privatization. I will never accept privatization of Medicare. We need to make sure we're protecting it. I also think we need to strengthen Medicare. A few key things. One is I think we need to make sure that we are implementing, allowing Medicare to negotiate the cost of prescription drugs. The cost of prescription drugs continues to be a tax on seniors. So that's something that I am committed to doing, to lowering the cost of prescription drugs and making sure that Medicare has that ability to negotiate those costs. Second, I'd like to see Medicare expanded so that it includes dental, vision, and hearing. And I think that expansion is something that's vital and something that's going to be very important to strengthen the program and take care of our seniors.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Knoll. That turns us on to over to Mr. Williams for the same question.
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Rex.
Thank you. I'm trying to move over to Mr. Knoll here for his answer to the same question. How would you strengthen Medicare for the future?
Well, Medicare is an everyday part of our life. A year ago, my mother-in-law fell and had a bad fall and resulted in her moving in with us. And, while she recovered, and that involved a lot of expense, and we moved her from a different state, built ramps in our home to accommodate this change. And so Medicare was, critically important, as we navigated that. My mother also benefits from Medicare today as well. So, it's absolutely critical. I get back to the same talking points, which is we have to have a strong economy. We have to have free market policies that allow costs to be controlled. We have so much regulation and administrative burden in our health system that costs are skyrocketing. And there's just things that have to be taken care of on a scale of Medicare, and federal government is uniquely positioned to help drive those costs down. So it is a daily part of our life and something that we're very attuned to. So it is, it's just what people are expecting and what we've promised that we've made and will continue.
All right. Thank you. I'm hoping you both can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. So let's go on. Mr. Williams, you're up first on the next question. It has to do with prescription drugs. As we were just discussing, Americans do pay high prescription drug prices, actually the highest prices in the world. And the question would be, if elected, how would you work to lower prescription drug prices for all Americans?
Yeah, it is a conundrum because the United States, the United States pharmaceutical industry, is the most innovative and has driven the innovations that have provided the tremendous breakthroughs in medicine that we enjoy. And so, being able to make that affordable for all Americans is essential. And I think having a cap on out-of-pocket costs for seniors is maybe the most effective way to do that with the least government intrusion into that system. And while we're on the topic of pharmaceuticals, one of the critical things is that many of our critical pharmaceuticals are actually manufactured in China today. And we need to reshore that manufacturing, because even worse than skyrocketing costs is if things were suddenly not available because of their zero COVID policy or tensions with China. And we need to really understand what that risk is and make sure that we have domestic supply and domestic manufacturing for our pharmaceutical industry.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Williams. On to Mr. Knoll for the same question. If elected, how would you work to lower prescription drug prices that are the highest in America now of anywhere in the world?
No, I mean, I addressed this a little bit in my last answer about Medicare because, of course, they are very much connected. But this continues to be a tax on our seniors. I met a woman just this past week, Marianne Flood, who came up to me and said, look, prescription drugs are killing me. My daughters help me, but the costs are a real challenge for me on a monthly basis. And, we've taken measures to have Medicare negotiate the cost of prescription drugs. I think we need to expand that. HR3 was something that was broadly supported that would even expand that further, allowing, these drug costs to be capped. And then I think we also have to work to make sure we're, bringing generic drugs to market sooner. I think that maintaining this innovation is critical, but to a point. And I think expanding options to have generic drugs be brought to market sooner could also go a long way to making sure that we're lowering costs for seniors and all Americans.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Knoll. You are up next for what is actually our final question of this brief forum, and it has to do with caregiving. America's long-term care system is in crisis. Many would say broken. So the question is, if elected, how would you make affordable, quality, long-term care options available, especially at home, while also supporting family caregivers? First to you, Mr. Knoll.
Hey, Rex.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon. I got you, Lima Charlie. How do you have me?
5 by 5.
Yep. Okay. I think it's on your side, Rex, but I think you said the question was on
Rex. Sorry, friend.
Okay. I think you said the question was on long-term care.
Correct.
Sure. Mm-hmm. So, on this issue, I think this is a system that's, it's really broken in our country, and especially during the pandemic, it really revealed itself as a crisis, particularly in our nursing homes. The only system we have in place right now is, we've got this, Medicaid can cover the cost of nursing homes, but nursing homes is, oftentimes astronomical cost. What I'd really like to see is expanded options, expanded insurance coverage, so that seniors had more options. So it was not just a nursing home. There was community options to stay in their home for a longer period of time. And then I think that if we've learned anything from over this pandemic, we're going to need to have more of a base of I think it's going to be very important that we invest in training people that are willing to take these jobs, these long-term care jobs. And then finally, I think that we need to make sure that we're kind of enforcing these standards of nursing homes. My father was a nursing home administrator for over 20 years. And I think that, making sure that these nursing homes are well led and are adhering to standards is critically important during this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Knoll. I'm hoping everybody can hear me now. So same question goes to Mr. Williams. If you're elected, how would you work to make affordable, quality, long-term care options available, especially at home, while also supporting family caregivers?
Sure. So my earliest memories are actually touring nursing homes that my grandfather managed in New Mexico. And of course, it was a very different business at that time. But as I alluded to earlier, a year ago, with really a bad fall necessitating full-time, literally round-the-clock care, we made a decision to, to bring my mother-in-law into our home. My wife slept on the couch outside of her bedroom for 2 months, helping her with every single thing. And in fact, I cleared out my office. My office is now in the basement, and that she now lives there. But the real issue is that in the healthcare industry, it's very difficult to hire people. They have a problem with retention, particularly at the lowest levels, and particularly with this labor shortage that we're experiencing from some of Joe Biden's policies from COVID. We just don't have enough workers. So being able to age in place, to have reimbursement for home care, including the sacrifice that families make, just like our family has made, quite honestly, over the last 12 months, to provide that care in the best and safest place, which is often in the home. Maybe that's includes training, for people that are trying to provide that care. There's the only way we're going to scale that as the population ages and there's even fewer resources workers available to work in the industry. So it's clear that we've got to make home part of the solution.
Okay, thank you for that. We now move to the closing remarks, and we start again. This is timed. A 1-minute closing remarks, please. We start with Brandon Williams.
Well, again, it's a pleasure to be here and to address the audience of the AARP. At 55, I'm right there. I'm starting to get the literature, so paying close attention. I'm a political outsider. I've never been in politics before. We need common sense solutions. We need a fresh perspective on our politics to be able to turn the ship around. The direction the America is going is not one that I want to pass on to our children and grandchildren. I believe that you feel the same way. So thank you for your time and attention and for caring enough about our country to be involved.
For the second set of closing remarks, Francis Knoll.
Yeah, I want to thank all of you for joining us today for this important conversation. It's such a critical time in our country. Our country really has been on a journey since its founding, and it's been a journey that's involved building a middle class and fighting for civil rights and women's rights, and really establishing Social Security and Medicare, which, if you look back at our history, at one point were criticized. And now we have this very important task of protecting Social Security and Medicare, continuing to take on this challenge of lowering the cost of prescription drugs, and so many of the important issues that are vital to our campaign, where I have a ironclad commitment to making sure that I fight for our seniors and protect these critical programs at this point in our country. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, and thank you to Francis Knoll and Brandon Williams for an informative and engaging conversation on just a few of these issues that are important to New Yorkers over 50 years of age, who we know are, as we've been saying, a key voting bloc in this race for New York's 22nd congressional district, one of the important races that will help determine who controls Congress for the next 2 years. And reminding those who are listening, our voices will decide. So thank you again to AARP New York for this important discussion, and to Empire Report for hosting. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, that was awesome. Great job, Rex Smith. Thank you so much for moderating this important discussion. Thank you to AARP New York for sponsoring, and thank you to the candidates for participating. New Yorkers, we hope you will come out and vote on November 8th and make your voice heard. For more information, please visit aarp.org and also visit empirereportnewyork.com. Thank you again for joining.